Everyone, once again, it's Janine Coden from Connected Limited. The title of today's topic is Narcissistic Parenting, What the Research Actually Shows and Why It Messes with Your Nervous System. So, did your parent love you or did they use you? Today we're diving into what narcissistic parenting actually looks like, why it felt so confusing when you were growing up, and what the research says about the emotional fallout for children. A lot of what I'm sharing today comes from a major study called The Children of Narcissists by Hart, Bush Evans, Hepper, and Hickman. It's one of the clearest pieces of research we have on how narcissistic traits show up in real parenting, not just in theory, but in day-to-day behavior. So let's break it down in plain English. So the 3 parenting styles, this is the foundation of the study. So before we get into narcissism, we need the basics. We have authoritative parenting. This is warm, responsive, with clear boundaries. Think, I love you and I'll guide you. We have authoritarian parenting, which is harsh, controlling, and obedience-focused. Think, because I said so, end of discussion. And then we have permissive parenting. This is inconsistent, checked out, with little follow-through. Think, do whatever, I can't deal with this. So decades of research shows that authoritative parenting, the first one, is the healthiest for children. The Children of Narcissists study used these exact categories to examine what happens when a parent has high narcissistic traits. So narcissism in a parenting role, and the study breaks narcissism into 2 types. We have the adaptive narcissism, the socially acceptable traits, confidence, leadership, self-sufficiency. These aren't inherently harmful. With empathy intact, these traits can actually support good parenting. And then we have maladaptive narcissism, the toxic traits of entitlement, exploitation, lack of empathy, and attention seeking. These are the traits that damage relationships, including with children. And the researchers asked a simple but powerful question. Are narcissistic parents more likely to use harsh or inconsistent parenting? And is empathy the missing piece that explains why? Spoiler, yes, completely. Yes. So the mechanism, why empathy is everything. So here's where the study gets really interesting. They found that the core problem isn't narcissism alone. It's what narcissism does to empathy. Parents high in maladaptive narcissism show significantly lower empathy, and this predicted unresponsive caregiving. So in this study, the pathway showed up over and over. Higher maladaptive narcissism from low empathy led to less responsive caregiving, led to harsher or more inconsistent parenting. So straight from the Children of Narcissists research, this explains why children of narcissistic parents so often feel unseen, unheard, emotionally abandoned, punished for having needs, or completely confused by inconsistent responses. And your body wasn't overreacting, it was adapting to their low attunement. So how narcissistic traits show up in parenting. So there's less or authoritative parenting. So there's less warmth, less attunement, less emotional guidance, and this was strongly linked to low empathy in the study. There's more authoritarian parenting, harsh rules, control, punishment, power dynamics. Interestingly, the study found narcissistic traits still predicted authoritarian parenting even after accounting for empathy. So this suggests something deeper drives it, like the need for power or ego protection, which aligns with what we see clinically. More permissive or inconsistent parenting. So it's not because they're laid back, but because they're self-absorbed. So parenting only happens when it meets the parent's emotional or ego needs. And this also matched the study's finding of low empathy, resulting in unresponsive caregiving, resulting in inconsistent follow-through. So what does this do to the child? And here's where your nervous system comes in. So growing up under narcissistic parenting often leads to fawn responses, freeze, hypervigilance, people-pleasing, emotional self-erasure, chronic guilt, and confusion about your worth. And the study echoes this. Previous research shows children of narcissistic parents report higher anxiety, depression, behavioral problems, and emotional vulnerability. Your childhood reactions made sense. Your body adapted to an environment where emotional safety wasn't consistent. So the surprise finding, not all narcissistic traits are damaging. Parents who score high on adaptive narcissism, the confidence and leadership side, tended to have more empathy and better caregiving. They were actually more likely to use authoritative parenting. So this isn't about blaming people for having strong personalities. It's about recognizing the difference between I'm confident and I'm entitled and lack empathy. Only one of these damages children. And the Children of Narcissists study showed that distinction really clearly. So can narcissistic parents change? So the researchers noted something hopeful, that empathy can be temporarily increased in narcissistic individuals through perspective taking, specific prompts, and communal goal activation. So yes, empathy can be activated, but long-term change usually needs strong motivation, external consequences, or a desire to shift relational patterns. And most narcissistic parents don't self-refer into parenting programs. So the more realistic invitation is this: you don't need them to change for you to heal. Understanding the mechanism frees you. It stops you taking their behavior personally. It lets you rebuild your nervous system rather than replaying the past. And if you grew up in a narcissistic household, what you felt wasn't imagined. Your body was responding to real emotional conditions. And now that you know the mechanics, you can finally stop blaming yourself. If this helped, subscribe, and we'll keep unpacking these patterns together. Your healing is absolutely possible, and it's already happening. You're doing better than you think.